Have you or someone you know experienced unexplained health issues potentially linked to electronic warfare? Project Archimedes, in conjunction with law firm Disabled Rights Advocates, is leading a groundbreaking worldwide action against the United States government, focusing on the impacts of 5G, EMF, and other unexplained phenomena, including what's known as Havana Syndrome.
We're dealing with energy weapons.
Permanent brain injuries, the unexplained, serious medical harm connected to a mysterious direct energy weapon.
It was like this piercing feeling on the side of my head.
If you've suffered from symptoms like headaches, dizziness, memory loss, or other unusual health effects that you believe could be related to these technologies, we want to hear from you. We are seeking justice for those affected by these potentially harmful technologies.
Sharp, localized ear pain, dull unilateral headache, tinnitus or ringing in one ear, vertigo, visual focusing issues, disorientation, nausea, and extreme fatigue.
This was the most terrifying experience of my life. I had no control.
By joining this movement, you could help prevent future harm and potentially seek compensation for what has been endured.
We have created a global class action lawsuit. Foreign litigants would be availed to the U.S. courts to seek recovery for those who caused the damage. All roads point back to the United States.
To learn more about your rights, potential eligibility, and how to join the movement, visit projectarchimedes.org.
So we're going to sue in the United States with people from all over the planet who qualify to be a plaintiff simply on the basis that they spend an hour or more a day within 100 meters of a 5G transmitter.
Project Archimedes and attorney Todd Callender are committed to fighting for those who have been impacted.
These are the people who can't fight for themselves. They're the ones who can't hire the lawyer.
Visit projectarchimedes.org today to find out more about joining the movement.
Hello, Vax Choice and Clout Hub community. Thank you for joining us today for a live episode of Truth Be Told, hosted by Todd Callender. How are you doing today, Todd?
Wonderful. Happy Monday. I'm excited about today. We've got a political leader in Canada who's trying to save Canada. Free Canada. Free Canada. I'm excited about this. How about you?
Yeah, me too. Right? I'm excited to learn from the inside a little bit what's actually going on over there instead of just what the mainstream media says about it.
Well, my Lord, these poor Canadian people get Mark Carney shoved down their throat. You know, it's the illusion of choice, Melissa. Now they're not even hiding it anymore. Here's your new prime minister, right?
I thought he already was. That's how
they appointed him. They appointed him, like effectively the parliament said, okay, he's our guy. That's one of the problems with these constitutional monarchies is that at the end of the day, the crown controls everything. Everybody that thought they lived in a commonwealth, you don't. You live in a colony. So do I. Get over it.
Yes. Well, this episode is live today, everybody. So if you have any questions for Max or Todd, please make sure to drop them down below, and we will get to them at the end of the show. If you have any questions, please like, share, comment, subscribe to our channel so that you're always up to date with what's true going on.
Yes, what is true? Thank you, Melissa. That's exactly right. The truth lives here, uncensored, unfettered, and we need your help, ladies and gentlemen, because your thoughts count. Today being our political leader in Canada, the one we want anyway, a libertarian kind of guy. I'm going to call him Max because I just slaughter French languages. I think it's Maxime Bernier. But we'll ask him. So thank you for that, Melissa. And with that said, let's get to the headlines.
Yeah, I'll be in the background enjoying the show, and I think John's joined to take over Q&A at the end.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you, Vax Choice family and Clout Hub peoples. You are my peeps in so much that I love you all, and I'm really grateful for you to be here. And it's such a joy for me to know that you're all out there and appreciating what it is we do. Your comments really count. Even your emojis are very much appreciated. I hope that you will take the time. There's a share button. It says share right underneath the video. Please do that so we can spread the word, because your voice counts. And when you send on a link to what it is we are doing, we collectively, it shows folks that they're not alone, right? And that's been the problem. Everybody thinks that they've got these thoughts all by themselves. and they're worried about talking to others. When we show a little bit of bravery, courage, and speak the truth, it's inspirational to others. It gives them effectively permission to speak the truth and require it of others, right? That's at the end of the day what this is about, ladies and gentlemen. It is the truth. And I would say this, if you ever looked for a better distinction between two countries that share a border, Canada and the United States is a great example. While Canada has a 97% tax rate, I kid you not, the highest level taxation is 97%. Let us recall that the Soviet Union only taxed its citizens 94%. So, in other words, Canada is more Soviet than the freaking Soviets were. But what do we see in our country? Mr. Trump is doing what he said he would do. Thank you, President Trump, for those of you that get mad at me for saying that. I don't mean any disrespect. I just laugh in my head about Mr. T. I pity the fool, because I think President Trump should say that. I pity the fool. In any event, 18 federal agencies struck, gone. And then we wonder why there's a pushback. Alex Jones did a good job on this. Let's listen to what he's got to say.
I wonder if any folks are going to come back here at night and firebomb this place.
And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
Your words have consequences. And what happened after she said that about Elon Musk, she's a Texan in her own home state. After she said that, this morning, 3 explosive devices were found in Austin, Texas.
We're here live on the scene at the Tesla dealership where earlier today an incendiary device, a homemade bomb, was discovered having been planted. And of course, this is typical or in line or as predicted by InfoWars.
I wonder if any folks are going to come back here at night and firebomb this place.
Crazy that we were here just a little over a week ago with Alex Jones, and he literally predicted to a guy blocking the road for us to even leave, a protester, that they were going to try to firebomb this place. And 8-9 days later, that's exactly what happened at the very location that we were at 9 days ago. I mean, Alex Jones was right.
Damaging a personal vehicle does not affect Elon. If anything, it's giving him more money to fix the vehicle that you damaged.
Getting more money to fix the vehicle. That's a good way to look at it. All of that was to say that Elon is on the receiving end for doing his job at Doge, because he's finding graft, greed, and corruption. And then we wonder why there's this pushback. They're demonstrating exactly who they are. And this one's an interesting one. President Trump, you might want to look carefully at those people who are around you in your cabinet. This is the number 2 to Mr. Waltz. His name is Alex Wong. And this guy, I mean, he's got quite a pedigree if you look into him. He's another commie kind of dude and very much involved in going after Mr. Trump. And over the last 4 years in the Biden administration, he is the deputy. He's the number 2 guy. And then we wonder what happens inside the government while they get frustrated trying to put things in order, like getting rid of 18 agents or agencies, as the case may be. There are operatives all around him. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, a lot of these things, they lead back to Tel Aviv. So while we are funding Israel and other countries like it, China included, their agents are inside the federal government. Don't forget, Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese driver who was a known intelligence operative for the PRC, driving her around for 30 years. And this leak, by the way, is directly related to this. The one where they're trying to get Mr. Waltz and Mr. Hegseth in trouble, they were forced to use this messaging system, Sonic, right? Biden had it as a rule, as a policy, thou shalt use Sonic. So here it is, leftover policy for the commanders of these agencies, DOD and state and others, and then they go ahead and use these things, and lo and behold, there's agents inside the calls. Well, why should we be surprised by this? There's another clip on this. It's about a guy by the name of Jeffrey Goldberg, who, by the way, Alex Jones actually knows. So Alex, again, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your work. Please let us know about Jeffrey.
Not one of the national security heads of the NSA, the Defense Department, the Office of National Intelligence, none of them in this group chat on Signal that the U.S. government orders them to use, that Biden ordered almost 4 years ago, that's still being used, that I've said they shouldn't use, has said that they included Jeffrey Goldberg, the Israeli, the editor of Atlantic, the Beyond Epstein connected publication I'll get into in a moment. So Trump just says, say it's a mistake. You didn't give the secrets to China like Milley did deliberately. This stuff happens. Move on. You've learned your lesson. And of course, there's a whole other fascinating area where you actually see a real administration working and debating, and J.D. Vance disagreeing, but saying, I'll follow orders. That's what I signed up to do. I mean, this is very refreshing, regardless what you think about fighting the Houthis in Iran. Well, I mean, they've been attacking our ships. So here's the big takeaway. Jeff Goldberg came to me 13, 14 years ago, and he said it was an interview for Atlantic, and he was the editor there. And I looked him up and knew he'd been, a deputy, warden, high-level jail guard at the famous Israeli torture center. And I knew he was probably a Mossad operative, but I said, you can interview me. Back then I did interviews. He said, I'm not here for an interview. I know I told you that. I'm here to find out who you work for. And now we know Obama, right around that time, opened up a national security investigation onto me. Gosh, I guess this is about 13 years ago. So Trump is saying, hey, just own it, even though you're saying you didn't do this. Waltz is, they're telling, take the blame. And I don't see it that way. I mean, I believe them. These people aren't liars.
Okay, so he's right about that. And when you see that Mr. Waltz, who's in the intelligence community effectively, is being run, or his bureaucracy is effectively being run by Alex Wong, whose wife is a prosecutor, should we be surprised? And it's not by surprise to me that all roads lead back to what? The same group of people, including Bill Gates, who he was with Epstein, right? He was his partner. The good news, President Trump, thank you for defunding Gavi. Gavi was created circa 2000, right around the time that the Twin Towers came down. I guess a year before. It doesn't matter because it's all part of the same thing. Should we be surprised? Bill Gates was appointed as trustee of the Epstein estate. Should we be surprised that he co-owned the property in New Mexico where they were doing genetic engineering on underage kids? And you got here 1,000 agents of the FBI now assigned to pouring through the Epstein files. And then we wonder why there's pushback, because the whole thing is coming out. President Trump, thank you. The whole thing is coming out, and I'm grateful for that, because without the truth, we can't know where we're at. We don't know what we're looking for. But when you start dismantling the entire apparatus, including what it is that Bill Gates is doing, God bless you, sir, because this is our survival. And in the case of Gavi, you might recall last time when you defunded the WHO, all the money for the WHO went to Gavi. What did that do? It just sent out poison vaccines, billions of doses around the world. I'm just so pleased that it's finally getting out. People are finally resonating. This was a mass poisoning. It was intentional, and believe it or not, it predated Mr. Trump. He didn't take office until 2021. It was actually in 2016. Sorry, he took office in 2016, but prior to him taking office in 2017, they launched Operation Warp Speed. So that actually predates President Trump by 4 years, effectively, by the time he rolled it out and said, this is mine, I'm the father of vaccines. I think that was a terrible mistake on his part. I'm sure that he regrets it, but I fully understand why President Trump can't address it, because all of the roads lead back to the White House one time or another, and he's the guy occupying the White House. But it haunts me to this day when Mike Pompeo was giving some kind of a speech about COVID, and he says, we're in the middle of a live exercise, and President Trump says, wait, what? You should have told me that. I mean, I think that's clear and convincing evidence that he didn't actually know what was going on. I wouldn't be surprised when you find there are spooks from foreign governments in your cabinet, or certainly in that area of your cabinet. working against you. We can't be surprised by this, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing huge things, and he's taking some huge risks. And some of those risks, they come to fruition, including uninvited people coming onto your call, your national security call, set up with a platform that was left over from the prior administration. I mean, all of that makes perfect sense. My question is, what are you going to do about it now that you know, President? I know. How about getting rid of some more agencies? One of his other things was getting rid of regulations. And the first time around, he said he was going to get rid of 2 regulations for every new one passed. He actually did 10 for every one passed. This time he says he's going to get rid of 10 regulations for every new one passed. It looks to me like it's actually thousands. He is uncluttering our government. God bless you for so doing. There's a funny piece. We'll get to George Carlin in a minute. But before we get there, the DOJ, now we come to understand, has their own club, a club of prosecutors. And you know who else is in it? Judges. So the outcomes on these trials are predetermined. And you might recall when we brought our case all the way back in August of 2021, we discovered that the pleadings were canned. After I filed our suit with my partner, Dave Wilson, and other notable lawyers, we saw 11 other suits filed right after ours. All of the pleadings that came back from the Department of Justice were the same words, the same prose, the same paragraphs over and over. And then the motions to dismiss yielded proposed orders for the court to dismiss. Here's what the order should look like, Judge. They all read the same. And what did the judges do? They all signed the same order. Let us recall that in 2016, the DOJ created something called the Bureau of Justice. That's where there was an amalgamation of activities, amalgamation of functions. The judiciary was combined with the DOJ, combined with public health, combined with corrections. So that makes perfect sense that there'd be some secret club where you got prosecutors and the judges hanging out, because legally they were amalgamated in 2016. Look it up for yourself, the Bureau of Justice. So I'm not saying it's illegal. I'm saying it's unethical. It should never happen. They're supposed to be independent. The reality, ladies and gentlemen, is it's a big club and we ain't in it. And I love George Carlin for saying that. Here's a couple seconds from his speech. If you wouldn't mind, play George Carlin. If you have it, there you go.
Now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big.
We're not in the big club, but we can destroy that big club, and that's exactly what's happening. Our guest today, I'm going to say Max because I'm worried I'm going to slaughter the name, Bernier. He is from the People's Party of Canada. He's running. He's going to go against Mark Carney, the traitor to Canada, the subject of the king, his very own agent in charge of what is effectively a colony. I'm not telling Max anything new. He knows it all, and he's got a great website. He's got a great bunch of support. And God love him. He's here to talk to us. Max, welcome to Truth Be Told.
Thank you, Todd. Yes, Max Bernier, you have it. You know, you did pronounce well my last name. Thank you very much. But I like to be called Max because sometimes also Mad Max. I'm so mad about what is happening in our country right now with Polyev and Carney. And as you can see,
Crazy.
Todd, I'm in my car. I'm traveling across the country. I'm in Halifax right now. We will have a press conference in 40 minutes here.
Wow.
I'm traveling across the country, speaking the truth based on facts, like we did together when we did fight for the freedom of choice during the COVID hysteria. And it's still a big fight, but we are there.
We are there. And I got to tell you, I'm just so honored that you're here and you took the time. And I'm sorry to interrupt your travel. I know you're out there raising interest and awareness. Our hope is that people on here, and we've got a lot of Canadians, will spread the word. I want to understand how to support you. I went to your website. There's a load of questions from our friend Tom Allen, who's working for you to try and get you out there as well. It's a fabulous platform. Tell us the highlights. What are you going to tell people in your press conference, Max?
I will tell them what President Trump is doing right now. You know, me and President Trump, we share the same view about mass immigration and deportation. We are the only party here that is speaking about that, and we want to have a moratorium on immigration. We want to deport all illegals that are in Canada, like the one that you have in the state. So we need to be serious about that. And the People's Party is there to fight for the peoples. We are like, Nigel Farage in UK or Marine Le Pen in France. Uh, Nigel did a good job with the Reform Party. We created the People's Party 6 years ago, and we have a momentum that's going well, traveling across the country, and people understand. You cannot have the liberals or the conservative. They're the same, on the most
same.
important issues. I call them the LibCon party, the Uni party.
That's right. It's exactly what they are. And I don't think you could distinguish yourself better. As you look through your website on the People's Party of Canada, you hit all the highlight issues that we're worried about. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a racist policy. And I read through what it is you had to say, and I think that you said it actually very beautifully, that, in order to reward people simply on the pigmentation of their skin is by itself racist. So immigration, I'm clear with that, but you've got DEI, gender ideology. Walk us through that if you wouldn't mind, because I think these are important issues.
Yeah, and it is happening here in Canada. The federal government is giving a lot of money to third-party organizations to promote that radical leftist ideology. I must say Marxist ideology, because, it is everywhere in Canada and everywhere in the federal government. Actually, in our Canadian forces, for example, they are promoting the DEI ideology. So what I'm telling you is they are promoting people in our Canadian forces who, don't have the ability to do the job to protect our country just because of the color of their face or their sexual orientation. They will have promotion. And our leadership of our Canadian forces is woke. And, we need to be sure that these people won't be there for too long. We need to fire them and put competent people over there. And actually, the Canadian forces, with their woke ideology, they have a lot of challenges to have, new people going to the Canadian forces. They have a lack of 14,000 young Canadians. They need 14,000 young Canadians in the Canadian forces. They cannot have Canadians don't want to participate in the Canadian forces because of that woke organization. And they're not credible anymore. But also what they're doing, they are allowing, allowing foreigners to be part of our Canadian forces. People who are not Canadian citizens can be soldiers in our Canadian forces. They don't know our country. They are not citizens, and they will go and defend our country. It is crazy. So that woke ideology is everywhere, and we want to promote unity instead of diversity.
Exactly.
We want to promote equality of rights instead of equality. And we want to promote at the same time, not inclusion, but a meritocracy. If you're good, you may be able to have a promotion. If you're bad, too bad for you.
Yes, that's exactly right. And one of the other things that you just said, and it's on your website, I really encourage people to look at it, is you talk about sovereignty, Max. And it's so important. The reason why we created countries is because jointly we defend them, jointly we exploit them to the exclusion of others. That is called sovereignty. And I know you're pals with President Trump, and should be. I think when he was talking about the 51st state, he's doing this to bring them out into the open, to open the discussion. And my prayer is that Canadians want Canadian sovereignty. It goes back to what it is you're talking about in the military. How can you have foreign people come in and defend your country if they're not citizens? And the answer to that question is they're mercenaries. And once you agree that they're mercenaries, the only equation that matters with those people is how much they're getting paid. That's it. So we found the same thing in the U.S. military. They're trying to bring in people who can't read, they can't write, they don't have a passport, they don't have a high school education. What do they think they're going to do to our military? And the answer lies, Max, in the law of war. Canada is also a signatory to the law of war. It says if substantive government functions are taken over by an enemy nation, you have lost the war. The military is a substantive government function. You've got Chinese military bases in Vancouver. You've got people in your government, just like we do in ours, that aren't from the country. They are openly agents of foreign countries. In both cases, it's Chinese amongst others. My concern is we don't stake out those flags and claim sovereignty, then we're abdicating it.
Absolutely, Todd. And you can add also to all that, don't forget, Todd, that 2 years ago, the Canadian forces did, welcome the Chinese army in Canada, in northern Canada, for, to train them during winter. What are they doing?
I remember that.
It's crazy. And so right now, when Trump said a couple of days ago or weeks ago, 51st state, he was just challenging us. And,
Yes.
I said, what we want, we like Trump, we want to put our country first. We want to put Canadian
right.
first. We will withdraw from all these UN, migration compact, because as you know, for the UN, you can be a citizen of Zimbabwe and becoming a citizen of Canada. Migration is normal for the UN. For us, it is not. It
right.
must be a privilege to be a Canadian. And we have that mass immigration. We need to stop that. We are the only party here in Canada that is saying an end to that, a moratorium to that, a pause to that, because that is changing our social fabric of our country. We need to stop that. But the Liberals and the Conservative here are okay with that. And I call, the Conservative in Canada under Pierre Poilievre, they're like, the rhino in the US.
Yes, they are.
Republican in name only. Poilievre is a conservative in name only. What he wants to conserve, it's everything that Trudeau did the last 10 years. He's okay with the Paris Accord. He will impose more taxes and regulation on us. He's okay with mass immigration, Todd. He wants the war in Ukraine. He was okay when Trudeau gave $20 billion to Ukraine, money that we don't have in Canada. But we are for peace and prosperity, and we are encouraging President Trump to have that peace deal between, Ukraine and Russia. That will happen. But, the Conservatives are for war, and we are not. It is sad what we have as the leaders right now, the Conservative and the Liberals. That's why you can see the People's Party is coming with our momentum. And, we will be the surprise of this election.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. My prayer, Max, is that they don't have the opportunity to cheat. One of the ways that they are cheating, and you made reference to the tax, which I personally know, I practice tax law, is 97% at the highest rate in Canada. How exactly are they going to tax the extra 3%? And on top of that, immigration is designed to destroy your economy, this mass immigration, just like the United States. They bring in the immigrants, they house them to the exclusion of veterans and other people who are citizens. They spend a ton of money doing it. And what happens is the property values are inflated to the point where Canadians can no longer afford to actually own a home. All of this is by design. And I'm curious if Canadians had woken up to the fact, two things. Number one, their country and they are under attack. Do they understand that? Do they also understand that the poison shots were designed to eliminate them as beneficiaries of the payment system?
I think they are, and because that's why we have more and more support. And so, like you said, during the COVID-19, Poilievre and Trudeau were promoting that so-called vaccine. But as you know, we were right. I was the only one at that time who did fight for freedom of choice with an informed consent. I went in jail because that for 12 hours in Manitoba. And I said, I'll go back to jail if I have to fight for the rights of Canadians. But the big difference with us and the Conservative, the Liberals, and the NDP in Canada is, all these establishment politicians are globalists, and we
That's
are
right.
not. We want to fight for Canada, withdraw from the Paris Accord, withdraw from the World Health Organization, withdraw from the World Economic Forum. So we can be a very strong sovereign country, but first we must be serious about mass immigration, because you're right. The last 10 years, the standard of living in Canada went down. And so people are poor every year. Because of
Yes.
that mass immigration, the GDP is growing, the economic pie is growing, but our piece of the pie is smaller. The GDP per capita is going down. So we have too many people. The growth of our population is too fast. And
Yes.
so that's why we are poor every year. So that is having an economic impact on our society, a
Yes.
social and cultural impact, because they don't integrate into our society. They're living in ghettos across the country. So we need to end that. And if you look at the polls in Canada, Todd, 75% of them are saying enough is enough with mass immigration.
Fabulous.
But both parties, the Liberals and the Conservative, are pending to ethnic communities because they're okay with mass immigration, they're okay with the statu quo, and they want, to have the support of these ethnic communities across the country to try to have more seats. When they're doing that, they're not working in the best interest of Canadians. They
That's
are
right.
working in the best interest of foreigners. We are paying, like you in the state, to put them in hotels, giving them food. So we don't have that money. We have a huge debt and a
That's
huge
right.
deficit in Canada, and we need to stop that.
Well, and that's part of the economic attack, Max, is it's debt slavery, not just of the citizens of Canada, which is of course intentional, designed to keep people weak so they can't fight. But the IMF has created a debt slave of Canada itself by mandating all these programs that you have to pay for. You have to borrow money from the IMF, pledge your national assets, which includes your citizens' earnings. And I don't know if Canadians understand that or not, but you have been collateralized to the IMF, the World Bank, and the Bank for International Settlements, the people that print money out of thin air and loan it to your government. I would go a step further, Max. I think that at the end of the day, the rhinos, as you call them, the conservatives and the liberals in your parliament are political mercenaries. At the end of the day, they are there and they're getting paid for a job, and that job is to destroy Canada. So I see you as a lone champion in this fight, and I want to hear your thoughts on what happens with Carney. Does he stay on? Because I don't know your political system very well. Are you going head to head with this gangster?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Carney is the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, and he was elected by the members of the Liberal Party of Canada, and so now he's the Prime Minister, but he's not elected. He doesn't have a seat in Parliament, and that's why he did call an election. Our election day will be April 28th, and
Wow.
so there's a Conservative, and the leader is Poilievre. Both of them are globalists. And us, the new political party, the new populist party in Canada. So we have that momentum now because people look at Poilievre, supposed to be a conservative, but he's doing campaign against Trump. Both of them are doing campaign against Trump. And so because with the mainstream media here in Canada, the mainstream media is so leftist that they are, saying, okay, the enemy, it's the US and Trump. They try to set that to Canadians, but Canadians, the common sense will prevail.
Yes.
And we know that we will be able to have a deal with Trump.
Of course.
We need the US market, and you need, our natural resources. Let's have a deal, and we will be able to have that deal. But Carney and Poilievre are, and Poilievre said we need to impose tariff, dollar for dollar of tariffs. But that being said, the reality is you are 10 times bigger than us. We won't win a trade war against the US. And I'm saying that, and more people understand now. So, yeah, Carney is running to try to stay in power with the Liberals. And I'm running, to change that in Canada because we can save this country.
Yes.
If you have the liberals or the conservative, that will be the same. It will be hard for every
Yes.
Canadian, and we'll have to wait until the next election. It may be too late. So
It'll
let's
be too
save
late.
the country. I'm telling Canadians, go out and vote. It will be time to vote during the election. And the good news is I did during this campaign, and I'm traveling across the country, and I did speak with Canadians who told me, Maxime, I never voted at the federal level. And in Canada, 40% of Canadians didn't vote at our last general election.
Wow.
And some of them told me, now, I need to vote. This country is going down the drain, and I will
right.
vote for you, for the People's Party. So imagine
Good.
if, we have that silent majority who didn't vote the last election and came and vote. That will be great. We will be able to save that country.
Well, undoubtedly, this is true. Also, I want people to understand that the attack on your economy, the attack on your country includes leaving resources in the ground. So when you talk about a trade war, it's obvious to me, Max, that they have no intention of succeeding at a trade war. Their mission is to destroy your country so they can bring in their worst liberal ideology, AI governance, amongst other things, and there won't be another vote, Max. The plan is to destroy Canada. The plan was to destroy the United States. It was to destroy the world economy, and it's wonderful to see humanity rising up. But I want to also understand this. There are huge resources in Canada that could be exploited at any moment, but they're not. Do I have that right?
You're right, absolutely. Because of the Trudeau government, we have a lot of shale gas in Canada, natural resources like oil and
timber,
gas, and but the Trudeau government, he was working with the radical environmentalists, and
That's
it's
right.
so difficult. It's so difficult to have a permit coming from the federal government to be able to exploit our natural resources that we don't have any investment now. So let's have a clean slate. We need to, and that's the proposal of the People's Party. We need to have a radical decentralization. We need to be sure, like, you have the Dodge in the US. I said in 2020, we need to have a department of downsizing the federal government, cutting regulations. If you do that, you'll be able to bring back investment here in Canada,
right.
and we'll be able to exploit our natural resources and
That's
becoming
right.
richer. We
That's
need
right.
to do that, but we are not. It's more important to, fight climate change when there's no climate emergency.
That's
and
right.
put a lot of regulations against businesses. We will withdraw from the Paris Accord. We won't impose any regulation. The climate is always changing and will always change. We will do like President Trump. So that is why we want to be that quiet revolution in Canada that will bring back common sense.
Common sense indeed. And I want to add to that for anybody out there that thinks global warming is going to raise the sea levels and blah, blah, blah. First and foremost, those temperatures are a fraud. If you look at the guy that co-founded or actually even founded the Weather Channel, he will tell you it is a complete fraud. But don't believe me. Take a cup of ice water, fill it to the top with ice, and when the ice melts, what you will find is the water does not spill out of the cup because it is a fraud. The whole concept is a fraud, and it is designed for the very same purpose, Max, and that is to destroy your country through regulation. So I hope that one of your planks, I heard you say it, but I'm going to say it again anyway, is repeal, repeal, repeal. All those regulations are destroying your nation. And not only that, but the mindset, there is nothing wrong with coal. There is nothing wrong with oil. There's nothing wrong with gas. It's energy, and you have tons of it. You have water, you have timber, you have moss. You even have lots of people that can work. It's a huge country geographically, and there are so many resources to exploit there. Canada should be the richest country in the world. It really should be. And the fact that it's right there next to the United States blows my mind that I know people in Canada can't get a permit for the last leg of their oil pipeline. Why? Because the government doesn't want you to export oil. They want you to starve in place. Now, the last guy that did that was none other than Stalin. right? He was the guy that starved all of his people on purpose, and that's exactly what they're doing to you, Max. And I want to make sure I don't run too long for you because I know you got to get to another place. But I would like to understand your foreign policy. I know you said a little bit about it as it related to Ukraine and it related to Russia. But as it relates to other nations that are imposing their will on you, are you for exiting, for example, the United Nations, exiting the WHO and all of these other NGOs, the OECD, who actually runs your country above Mr. Carney?
Yeah, the answer is yes, and that's why I'm telling people that we are putting Canada first. And for me, that's not a slogan; that's a reality.
Yes.
We will exit the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, the UN Compact on Migration, and we will give money to the UN if the UN is promoting Western civilization values. Knowing that they are not doing that, Todd, we will save a lot of money there. So
Yes.
yes, we are putting our country first. And about the environment, like you said, for me, CO2 is not a pollutant. It's a
It's
gas
not.
essential for life. But for
That's
the
right.
liberals and the conservatives, it is a pollutant. It is a pollutant for them. And what they want to do, they want to spend billions of dollars to find a new technology that will capture CO2 and put that in the ground. We have a natural technology that is capturing CO2. It's plants. We need
Yes, right
plants.
now.
That's a food for plants. Why spending billions of dollars on a technology when CO2 is essential for us, for life, and for plants?
Yes.
You don't need to capture the CO2 and put it down in the ground. But because they're all in line with the Paris Accord, they are telling Canadians we will have a couple of regulations but no taxes. But CO2 is so a bad gas that we will capture it with new technology that we don't know. We need to spend a lot of money to create that technology. It's crazy. The common sense must prevail. And the more we speak about that, the more people understand that, we are there for Canadians and ending
Yes.
all that nonsense in our country.
Yeah, exactly that. I would go a step further in this, and I will tell you this, that we are made of carbon. And if the war is on carbon, people get it through your heads, the war is on humanity. We are the target for their destruction. That's what COVID shots was about. That's what all of these policies are about. It's not just Canada. It's humanity that they seek to destroy. And Max, you're a savior to your people. I pray that your thoughts, your campaign is contagious. How do people support you? Can they send you money? They got to show up to vote. Is there special registration? The last bit's for you because I know you got to run. Tell us how to do it.
Yeah, first, if they want to give money, they need to be a Canadian citizen. So if they are a Canadian citizen, they can go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. They click on donation. That would be great. We need money to do that war. We're doing the cultural war in Canada. We need you guys. And also, if they're Canadian citizens, they can vote. I hope that they will. The day of the votation will be April 28th. Be out there, go out and vote. Vote for what you believe, vote for your values, and vote for the People's Party because we will be there to protect you and to be sure that Canada will be great again.
Beautiful. I love that. The champion, not only of the country, but humanity. And Max, you're an inspiration to me. We have in the links, ladies and gentlemen, the place to donate. Please do so. And do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen, grab somebody with you. Go and vote and bring them along. And if you've got relatives in Canada, harass the crap out of them. We need Max in charge because it is only by virtue of you getting there, President Trump staying there, Millet, other leaders like you, that humanity will survive. Otherwise, Max, we are done. This is a matter of survival. And God bless you for this. God bless you for giving us your time and for your courage, your leadership, calling us anytime. Please, we're here for this very purpose, and I'm happy to help you in any way we can.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me. And yes, maybe, you know, just before the election, if we can have another discussion,
Yes.
that would be great. And if people want to follow me on social media, they can follow me on Twitter, on X, Maxime Bernier. They can follow the People's Party on Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. So, you know, and they can go and read our platform. If you're a Canadian and you want to know more, go on the website of peoplespartyofcanada.ca and click on platform. Our ideas are there. So thank you, Todd. And
My
I'm
honor.
very pleased. I will do that fight for us, and being sure also that we'll have a good deal with you, because we need that. You need us.
That's
I need
right.
you. Let's do that together.
That's right. Beautifully said, Max. Godspeed. We're all here behind you, brother. We'll
Thank
look forward
you.
to having you back again.
We will. Bye-bye, Todd.
All right. So long. Best of luck to you.